Welcome, Bible lovers. The Wisdom Center Church welcomes you again to Mike Murdoch Radio, 7 nights a week, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. And now a man who loves the Bible, Dr. Mike Murdoch.
Mike Murdoch family. I love my Bible-loving family. The golden chapter of today is Proverbs 4th chapter. Solomon wrote it. Solomon, the wisest human who ever lived. Proverbs 4, you ready? Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom with all you're getting understanding. I'm going to give you some examples today. The Bible is the wisdom of God, but it's not the only source of wisdom. Solomon later said that as many people as you can to get advice from, you're safe. The more advisors you have, the safer you are. Exalt her, she shall promote thee. She shall bring thee to honor when thou dost embrace her. Don't you love that? That's the golden chapter of today. Proverbs chapter 4. Wisdom is not God in control. Wisdom is you making decisions. In the 2nd chapter of Proverbs, Solomon said that the purpose of wisdom is protection, that you would discern evil people to stay away from them. Can you look at that? Proverbs 4. Don't let today pass without you reading the entire chapter. I'd like the next verse. I'd like to see the next verse if I could there. Wisdom is the principal thing. How do you get it? Proverbs 1 says you get it by listening. Revelation 1 says you get it by reading. There's a reward for it. The 10th verse says, your years of thy life shall be many. Wisdom even impacts your longevity on the earth. This is the 4th chapter of Proverbs. The purpose of wisdom is your decision making. Decide who to trust, who to believe. This is very powerful. And he said, when you get wisdom, you will run and not stumble. You won't make mistakes. I heard a preacher say one time that everything that happens is under God's control. So after he preached, I went to him, and I shouldn't have because he was much superior to me. But I said, I don't really believe God's in control of everything. I said, if your daughter was raped, would you tell the police at the station, oh, don't worry about it. God was in control. God wanted her raped. Let it go. If a drunk driver crashed into your car and killed your wife, would you say that at the funeral? God wanted her dead. God was in control. Of course, God isn't in control. Isaiah 1 says, learn if you want to do well. Learn. I have a special book I want you to order. It's free. I'll pay the shipping and handling. As most of you know, we're moving to downloads for $2 each. If you go to my website, MikeMurdochBooks.com, MikeMurdochBooks.com, you can buy books as little as $2. I have 500-page books for $2. I have 300-page books for $2. It's my way of making it easy for your life. I really believe books make a difference. I want to thank you for joining Radio 800. As you know, I'm on at 8 o'clock, 7 nights a week in 5 nations of the world. Mike Murdoch, 80 years old, and every night at 8 o'clock, Texas time, 9 o'clock if you live in Atlanta, Georgia, 9 o'clock if you live in Tampa, Florida. Write that down. About Heaven 600, connected with the radio people called iHeart. 7 nights a week. 8 o'clock Texas time. 6 o'clock if you live in California. Wisdom matters. John the Revelator said in Revelation 1, verse 3, that people who read books have money. They're successful. They're blessed. Reading matters. Years ago, they had a company called Evelyn Wood's Speed Reading. Evelyn Wood Speed Reading. 6 weeks of learning. But at the end of Evelyn Wood Speed Reading, they tested me, and I made 90% at 3,400 words a minute. Brother Mike, you can read 3,400 words a minute? Well, I did at that time. I don't know where I'm at 80 years old, probably a little slower. But I would urge you, I don't know if they still exist, but I would urge you to go to a speed reading and learn speed reading. John F. Kennedy, one of our presidents, could read 3,400 words a minute with 90% understanding. I would urge you to get involved with books. I'm going to give you some examples. Leonard Ravenhill wrote a book, Solomon Had No Bible. He wrote another book, says, Why Revival Tarries in America. I was crying on the 8th page. Crying. Leonard Ravenhill was a revivalist. His books unlocked something in me. There was a missionary lady called Elizabeth Elliot. She was one of the wives of the 5 missionaries to the Ecuador. Her books changed my world. They were part of the calling into the ministry. Elizabeth Elliot. There's another book that greatly affected me in my finances. Napoleon Hill. He was the author, Napoleon Hill. And the name of his book was Think and Grow Rich. Let me tell you a little story. Family, reading matters. Reading is instant wisdom without making mistakes. A preacher asked me why I bought 13,000 books. I read 10,000. I said, there's so much I don't know. There's so much I don't know. A young man named Napoleon Hill went to a famous billionaire in Pennsylvania. I think it was Andrew Carnegie. And he said, would you do an interview with me and tell me about the wisdom keys to getting wealth? And Andrew Carnegie said, son, I don't have time for that. I got a whole business to run. But I will write a letter of invitation for you to the 100 richest people in the world. And he told him, says, every year, the 100 wealthiest people in the world meet together for several days, and we share and talk. I will give you a get acquainted letter, and you can find them. Napoleon Hill didn't have a lot of money. He didn't, however, I don't even know if he had a job. But he took that letter and began to go all over the world. And when he finished talking to the 100 people about money, he wrote a book. I've read the book 5 times. I beg you, I'm begging you, if money is a struggle in your life, read the books of successful people. Warren Buffett, Bill Gates. The richest man in America 2 years ago was worth $359 billion. A billion is 1,000 millions. There's no comparison between a million and a billion. And a reporter said to him, tell us about how you earned $359 billion. Tell us about your business. Tell us about you. And he replied with one soft-spoken sentence. I just read a book. I just read a book. I read a book one time called The Millionaire Next Door. It was shocking, glorious, and stunning to me. The Millionaire Next Door. I don't remember who wrote it, but it's worth checking out. I was in my library, in my house, and I looked at my staff and I says, boy, I wish I could have lunch with Bill Gates. He was worth $77 billion at the time. Oh, I wish I could have lunch. I said I would buy him the best meal he ever had in a restaurant, as if that would be impressive, you know. And suddenly it hit me. Maybe he has a book. Maybe he has a book. I called Barnes & Noble, my favorite place for buying books. I said, do you have any books by Bill Gates, the billionaire? They said, yes, we do. It's called Business at the Speed of Thought. I drove 40 minutes there. It's about $18, 18 or 20. And I started reading this book. Was it hard? You bet your life. I couldn't hardly. I read slowly, over and over. Finally, there was one sentence in the book that unlocked something in me. I had 89 people on my staff at the Wisdom Center Church. I quickly drove there. I said, I want to show you what I learned from Bill Gates. And my whole ministry changed. Mentorship is learning through the mistakes of others. Like Elisha sitting at the feet of Elijah. Like Ruth telling Naomi, I want to stay by your side. I want to hear when you talk. I want to learn from you. What's the difference in people? There's 32. I have a book on it. MikeMurdochBooks.com. All of my books are only $2 each. Some are 48 pages, some are 800 pages, some are 300 pages. MikeMurdochBooks.com. Only $2 each. There's people who sell, and there's people who sow. Mike Murdoch's known to be a sower. I want to tell you a story in my life. And for some reason, I'm going to give you an opportunity. Wednesday night, 9:15, Chicago, Illinois. A preacher gets up and says, I want to pray for everybody to have a debt-free home. And I sat there and thought, wow, how's that? You pray for me to be, there's no way I could have a debt-free home. Then he says, I'm going to ask God to give you a debt-free home within 12 months. What a miracle. I leaned over to the pastor next to me. I said, there's no way Mike Murdoch will ever have a debt-free home. I poured everything into the home. A library, 4 apartments, a tennis court, a professional, beautiful, big gymnasium, 5 fish ponds. He said, I want you to write a check to the kingdom of God tonight for the cost of your home for 1 month. My monthly note was $3,400. Did I believe him? No, I didn't. I knew he was a preacher, but I thought it was another gimmick. You know, he's a preacher trying to get money out of me. And I sat there and he says, I want you to write a check equal to 1 month's mortgage payment. And I want to pray for you to have a debt-free home. Only time in 80 years anybody had ever said something like that. Later, I talked to Morris Cirillo about it, a great preacher in San Diego. He said, Mike, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard to. I've never heard of somebody saying that. I said, me neither. But he was a man of God. He was a preacher. I pulled out my checkbook that night, and I wrote out a check, $3,400. And then I wrote in the bottom of the check, debt-free home in 12 months. Brother Mike, did you believe it? No. But I obeyed because I knew the preacher was of God. Like the widow of Zarephath in 1 Kings 17, when Elijah told her she would never lack for money if she would hand him a bowl of soup. Does the Bible teach sowing and reaping? Repeatedly. Repeatedly. Genesis, the 8th chapter, says, as long as the earth remains, there will be seed, time, and harvest. Did I think I would have a debt-free home in 12 months? Absolutely not. But a man of God said, if I will obey him. Family, at 80 years old, I stand here before God. In 8 months, my beautiful home was debt-free. You want me to explain it? I can't. And the Lord spoke to me one time, said, when you want something you've never had, you've got to do something you've never done. When you want something you have never had, you've got to do something you have never done. $3,400, and in 8 months, my house was debt-free. Father, I rarely have shared this testimony. At 80 years old, I share it. Don't know why you impacted me. But I ask you for 3 people who love a debt-free home. I ask for 3 people with a passion for a debt-free home to sow a seed equal to their monthly house payment to help me stay on the radio a little longer. I ask you to do for them what you did for me. Their house note may be $800 a month. Their rent may be $450. Their house note may be $2,000 a month. I don't know. But one time in my 80 years, a preacher told me he would pray for a debt-free home in 12 months. I didn't even believe him, but I knew he was a man of God. And in 8 months, my $3,400 house note was completely paid for. To this day, I don't know how it happened. I ask you for 3 people who are listening to me tonight. I ask you to give them the same Mike Murdock miracle. My phone number is 60 Radio 800. I use the 800 because I'm on at 8 o'clock every night right here in Texas. 7 nights a week in 5 countries of the world. If you want to write that down, 60 Radio 800. And say, Brother Mike, I'm going to sow a seed equal to my house payment and ask God to give me the same miracle he gave you. The preacher had said I would have a debt-free home in 12 months. Mine happened in 8 months. And the miracle, to this day, is shocking to me. Father, you told Peter that every time he gave you $1, you would give him 100 back. Lord, many people don't believe in a 100-fold covenant with Jesus. I know that. Many people have never been taught that when they open their hands, you will open the windows of heaven. But it's in Malachi. Many people have never read Luke chapter 6, verse 38. Many people have never read Malachi chapter 3. But it's in the Bible. I don't know who these 3 people are, but I hope I get to pray for them personally, Lord. In Jesus' matchless name. I ask you, Father, to give them a testimony like nothing they've ever had. When they call our ministry number 60, Radio 800, let the miracle begin. That phone number to support me through prayer or offerings is 60 Radio 800. Please walk with me this 80th year of my life. I decree the harvest of God, the harvest of favor, financial wisdom, and especially financial opportunities. I come into a covenant with you that as you call this number 60, Radio 800, tell my assistant, I really want to walk with Mike through this season of his life. I want to help him stay on the radio when I can. If you can sow, that's glorious. If you can pray for me every day, that's glorious. I hope you join Radio 800. It's my partnership program. I've asked the Lord for 800 who will support me through prayer or an offering. I want to sing a song for you. I believe in a harvest. My God made a promise to me. I believe in the blessing. He said I would receive. I believe my God tells the truth. There is nothing He can't do. I believe in the harvest. My God made a promise to me. When I open my hands, my God opens His windows. When I open my hands, my God opens His windows. He's a God who moves mountains. He's a God who never fails. I believe. Oh, I love those words. I believe. My God never fails. Father, thank you for every promise you've made in your word. We come against all sickness and all disease. We come against all poverty. Father, we stand against cancer. We stand against blood disease. And Father, somebody is going through a very difficult marriage. Let the mercy river flow back in their marriage. There's somebody been asking for a child. The doctor said they can't have one, but you're a miracle God. I believe in the God of miracles. I believe in a God of miracles. Oh, call me. 60 Radio 800. 60 Radio 800. Thank you.
Thank you for joining Mike Murdoch Radio, 7 nights a week, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Thank you for joining Radio 100 as a monthly partner. Your support means the world. Remember to call for your free gift book, Book 321. Our phone number, 321 MM Radio.